our Valentine's Day gift bag. So it's got a mixture, really lovely pinks and whites. It's got a mixture of roses. So this one is a little bit more luxurious. This one probably takes us about 3 hours to make.
Everybody's story is different. So we have women who've gone through physical abuse and had to leave at very short notice, kind of flee with nothing, with just their children, through to women who've gone through more emotional abuse and coercive control. A lot of the women we work with are currently living in shelters in women's refuges, and they're just starting to take those first steps about thinking about what they do next and how they kind of rebuild a life and move on to something more positive.
I think I probably sort of withdrew a bit from people, do you know what I mean? Went more inwardly. Felt like everything felt like my fault, that I couldn't get out and I wasn't working and had this sort of patchy work record. And yeah, it was just like, well, why can't I do this? And I don't think for a while I was really identifying what I probably eventually called kind of coercive control. So I went from like really nervous to like, oh, can I do this? I'm like, am I kind of good enough? It's just hard to say, but it's those things, you know, like, oh, can I do this? I've sort of come and got this job. Yeah, so there was a kind of, and then there's a sort of technical, like you start feeling good that you can make these flowers and they look so gorgeous when they're done. They look like real roses. And yeah, so there was a sort of, you know, it's kind of obvious, I suppose, that sense of achievement, isn't it? Oh, I made that. I think it's hugely different than another job I might have had. So there's been quite a lot of conversations we've had over coffee, over lunch. Do you know what I mean? There's a feeling of like, that's understood. You know, there's still the kind of got to get the flowers out and meet the orders and all of that, just sort of normal work things. But it feels like that's okay, you know, that we can take time.
Some people love it and think, you know, if they love books, they really want to see flowers made out of them. Some people are absolutely horrified. We are really careful to use books that wouldn't be able to be used for something else. So books where perhaps they're damaged or they've got lots of markings on them so they wouldn't be sold. And we look at it that we're giving them a new life. We're turning them into something beautiful that will last and that people will appreciate.
We change our flowers each season, so for this season we've got daffodils for spring. They're really nice and bright and cheery. Classic daffodil, they're a real symbol of spring coming and hope and lovely bright cheery colours. So each season we have a kind of a mixed bouquet which sells for about 35. Particularly at the moment, people really want to show their appreciation for teachers. I think everyone's realised just how hard it is.
It's been a lot harder in all sorts of different ways. We know that more women are having to access domestic abuse services during the pandemic. The pressures on people are increasing, and also the pressures on the domestic abuse services themselves. There's a lot more demand for their services, and they're really struggling to meet those demands. So we think it's really important to help people at the other end of the process to be able to move out of the refuge, to be able to get a job and move on, so that those places can be made available to other people who are just at that early stage of leaving their relationship.